Live. We are live. It is Tuesday. I wanted to let you know this is a 9.5 by 7.5 liner. So if you're doing like a Detroit style, this is perfect, right? We also carry a couple other different sizes too. So in fact, I think our guest Joe uses these. So today is Joe Ledwidge, who owns Ranger Joe's, will be on today. Excited to get him on here and talk to him for a little bit. Vince, how are you today? Hopefully you are doing well. Today is maybe the last day of summer. There's Okie Pizza Guy. I like that. It throws me off there. Throws me off. How is everybody today? I think today's the last hot day in Oklahoma, finally. So, but if you need these, this is a 9.5 by 7.5. We have those. So, definitely miss you guys too. There's Ranger Joe. Here, let's accept. This has been weird lately. It's like I've had to hit it 3 times, 4 times to accept. You go. There we go. There we go. There we go. What's up?
What's up, Eric? How you doing?
Man, I'm just happy to talk to you today. How are you?
Beautiful day in paradise out here in Montana.
I can imagine. You know, this is I think our last hurrah of summer in Oklahoma today. It's gonna be 90 today, and then we're in the 70s. Joe, I want to make sure. Is it Joe Ledwidge? Yes. I want to make sure I say that because I don't think anybody even knows your last name.
It's Ranger Joe. Most people, AKA Joseph Ledwidge.
Gotcha. So normally what I do is I've got 5 good questions. I think for you, because I've always been so intrigued by you, I've got maybe 7 or 8. So if you'll bear with me, we'll just go through this. But the first thing I wanted to ask you about is something I thought was interesting about you was you competed in the World Pizza Games in Vegas last year.
Yeah.
And you won for largest dough, right?
Yep. In the preliminary round.
Okay. But
out of 28 people.
My question isn't even really about how you finished, but it was the fact that you did it and you probably were way out of your comfort zone and you just said I'm doing it, right? Can you talk about like just that thought process and what all that felt like and how it went?
Yeah, it was months before, started here at the shop with the guys and let them know about Expo, Pizza Expo, how cool it is, and they got these competitions, and I'm an older gentleman, I'm a little up in my age, and I said, I'm going to do this, if one time in my life I'm going to try it out and see how I do, I might fail, I might do terrible. So we started practicing about 4 or 5 months before the Expo. Every day I'd get like 3 or 4 doughs and just practice. Didn't practice as much as I should. But anyways, I get there, and out of 28 people, I'm competing, and it's going really good. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm like, wow. In my mind, I'm going, what's going on here? This is going really good. So then I start to get it to the front of the table. I put it on the floor and stretch it out. It's a really nice, round, circular dough. That's what you want. You want it to be even all the way around, nothing to oblong. Yep. And then I did my best, and I finished. And then we got to the end when the results started coming, and I think I won by 0.5 over a gentleman from Caliente Pizza. I think he did a really good job too. But I felt amazed. I was like, wow, this is great. And then I go into finals, and then the nerves really start kicking in. So, out of 20 people.
That's all right. But I guess my point is, and I'm 53 and a half, as my daughter says, and there are times in our life when I think we feel old and feel like we shouldn't be trying new things. And here you were, just like, I'm going to do this. And you were nervous. You're out of your comfort zone. You're out of your element a little bit.
My league a little bit.
But you went and did it, right?
What's that?
But you went and did it.
I did it. Yeah, and I'm very glad that I did it. It's something I can look back and it inspires other people here in the shop, the youngsters getting in the industry, that they should do it too. Yeah. I got a guy here that's probably going to compete in the fastest box folding competition. And he's excited about that. And my son might compete in the one of the like non-traditional or something like that. Yeah, but it's fun. It inspires other people too.
Yeah. I think I knew. I think we had talked, and maybe Lloyd had talked to you before you even opened, and talked about Perfect Crust pizza liners, and it felt like you've done such a great job on social media that you just kind of like, boom, there you were. Did you have a strategy going into before you opened what your social media was going to be? Were you a social media guy? Do you have somebody that works for you? And that's a lot of questions, but I'll let you speak. Go ahead.
You know what? First, the Perfect Crust liner is the only one we've ever used, even before we opened the pizza shop. You had sent me some samples to my house, and we made a little kitchen in my house, and we were using the liners, and they just kept the pizzas so fresh. We love the little dimples,
Yeah.
raised them up. It was perfect. Worked out really good for us. You guys have a great product. But even before we decided to move to Montana and open a pizza shop, I was making pizza for my friends, my family, and they were just loving the pizza. You know, we were mainly New York's, then we went into Detroit's, and they're this best pizza ever. You got to open a shop someday. So I decided to get out of law enforcement about 6 years early, and then just continued doing my social media, just Facebook, just for fun, family and friends. I have a graphic arts and commercial art background. I have a degree in that.
Okay.
So for graphics and stuff like that, it helps me. And I like doing social media. That's what I used to do for law enforcement, was e-learning management and graphics and stuff like that. So to me, it kind of comes natural, and I like doing it. Someday I'm going to have to hand it off because it takes a lot of time.
It does.
And some of the guys have helped me. They've taken pictures and posted their stuff, but I want to get them more involved, but we're all so busy. But the social media is really big. I always respond to all my customers' comments on Facebook the same day. Anything on Instagram, I always get on there. You know, I'm probably on there too much, but to run a successful business and interact with your customers, you got to be daily communicating with them. They want that feedback. They want to see that, hey, Joe's listening to us, or Joe's involving us in his journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We talk about every day here at Perfect Crust that we want to be the most visible and the most interactive brand in pizza. And that's no different than what you try to do on your end, where you're visible and you're interactive with people that are commenting and they're leaving reviews. And speaking of reviews, Jimmer James is on here. I just saw him pop on. He does a lot of graphic design stuff for us, and he said that your social media is an A++. And to which I responded. I said I agree, and then his food is an A+++, which kind of leads into maybe my next question a little bit. Like, you're kind of this rare, like, for me in the world that we live, like, I see the pizza and the pizza looks fabulous, but then the social media looks great at the same time. And obviously the pizza's got to be the focal point of what you do every day. But you're not some overnight success in the pizza world. Can you talk about your family history and your history of pizza?
Yeah. So my parents opened one of the first franchises in Florida of a large pizza chain. And my dad took a shot, put up the money, had a silent partner, and he was in there, you know, and it went gangbusters, went really, really good. And then they opened more, and then that franchise kind of went down to Florida and kind of bloomed from there. So I was in there every day from 11 till like 19, making pizza, eating pizza, playing video games. I got a picture of me playing Galaga, you know, back in the day. So that training was always in the back of my head. Through some series of events, my parents decided to kind of get out of the business when I was around 18, 19. Unfortunately, I always kind of felt like I missed maybe a calling of what I should have been or could have been, you know what I mean? I'm glad I was in law enforcement for almost 19 years, almost 20 years. Good career, but I always kind of felt like I missed it, you know what I mean? My cousins were still in it, and their family's still in it down in Florida and other places. And it was kind of like, okay, I'm getting to a point now where I can retire early. We're going to move to Montana. Let's do this, you know. Let's do this pizza shop. I think we can make this work, and I think we can do this. I remember. So I think what's happening here is all those juices and all those that energy and all that stuff that I thought about for years. Every 6 months, every couple of years, I'd think like, man, we should. Now it's like a reality, and every day for me, it's fun. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I enjoy coming to work. I enjoy making dough. I enjoy seeing the customers love our pizza. Yeah. That's what fuels me. I enjoy motivating these youngsters, letting them know that Ranger Joe's is going to grow. They can have their own shop one day. Yeah. And pizza's a fun thing. I mean, let's make pizza work fun again, right? Yeah. I mean, it does get monotonous. It does get kind of tiring sometimes here and there. But I mean, we're doing our own thing. You know, we're making a product that people are consuming and enjoying, and what could be better than that? So that's, I think, where the passion comes from.
Yeah.
Plus,
well, you mentioned recently, like you had your dad in your pizza shop, right? He's still coming in, and is he telling you how to do it, or what's he doing?
Yeah, he comes here and he always has good advice. Like, we just kind of launched the food trailer late in the season. So we had some ideas.
That's on my list to talk about your food trailer. So we'll talk about that.
Should I wait?
No, go ahead.
So the food trailer, we wanted a way to expand our reach, the name of Ranger Joe's, but there's just not anything available north of us where we want to be about 7-8 miles.
Right.
So there's no building, but we wanted to have that ability to get in special events, the fairs, all those kind of things. So we bought the food trailer. We got a great deal on it, outfitted it with 2 Peerless C131P ovens. They're 4-decker. We took out 2 of them and just used the 2 decks. And they work great for Detroit's. And you can even do New York. So my dad came in and was like, hey, man, you should sell slices, this and this, set it up this way. And he actually had really good good advice. And maybe next year we may modify our original plan of what we're going to sell out of the food trailer. Yeah, we've got it wrapped. It looks really nice. And it's just an extension of our current business.
Yeah. Talking about family, there was a post you did, and I went back to find it because I remember reading it. It was from August 12th. And you posted about getting up and being at the pizza shop that morning, and it was you and your sons and maybe all this time and work, and finally you show up and it's them, and it just felt easy. Can you talk about that morning and kind of like did you have one of those like, okay, like what was that like that morning?
Well, a lot of times when you tell someone something, especially family, it's kind of like one ear out the other. You know what I mean? And when you're in the pizza business, there's certain things that have to happen a certain way and why we do things this way. Mm-hmm. So after months or a few months here and there working with them, you eventually kind of start to see them doing it on their own without you having to repeat it or go over it. And that day and since then, when I come in, boom, everything happens the way it should be. We got all the POS systems on, we got the TVs on, we pull the doughs that we're going to use for our deep dishes. And we change the sanitizer, the soap, all the things that have to happen to make the smooth running machine is now starting to happen kind of on autopilot. And it also helps, because, they want to grow too, and they want to have their own Ranger Joe's. So I think that when you are the leader of the ship and the way things go and you have such high expectations, when people don't do it, you get frustrated. Yeah. So then you just go over it again. And eventually, when you see it happening by itself, you're just you couldn't be any more joyful, And that's what was happening with that post.
Right. I was I can't remember who it was I was talking to a while back, and they said it was a pizza operator. And he said that the best days for him at the pizza shop are when literally all he's doing is coaching and teaching. Because if he's coaching and teaching, that's just standards, and that's things being done the way that he wants them done. And when you do that, you just continually doing that. You're not putting out fires, and you're not worried about the sky falling. When you're just coaching, it just makes the day a lot better. Do you feel like that's kind of the process for you every day?
Yeah, and I've had to mature into that role because I can do everything. I can do everything, but I'll be dead tired at the end of the day, and I'm not helping people grow. Right. So I've had to look back and I've had to say, you know what? I've got to let people get a chance to fail. Usually I'd maybe oversee them, look over their shoulder, make sure it was done right. But I'm getting to that point now where I can kind of, let's get this done, guys. Yeah. And when it gets done, great. Hey, great job. Good job, guys. But if it doesn't, let's regroup. Let's talk about what we can change. So those are kind of some of the things that I personally have had to learn to change and mature in that role. Yeah. As we grow, and I've got the young, we've got a great crew here. We've had like 3 guys that have been with us for 2.5 years. And I'm now giving them more responsibility, more management responsibility, and trying to kind of groom them to go to that next level. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it's something you have to mature into that role for sure.
Yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things for a lot of people is to let people make mistakes. And Joe Carlucci, I know you know Joe. Joe had said to me a while back, he said he wants to empower his people to make mistakes. He wants to see them make a million mistakes. He doesn't want to see them make the same mistake a million times, but if they make a million mistakes, they're trying and they're learning and they're growing, they're getting better. This is a question I've been asking everybody every day. What are you reading, listening to, invested in that's keeping you motivated right now?
Well, I would say my dad was a big motivation being here, and all through the years that he was in the pizza business, and then coming back around now, us out here. And he's got a lot of great advice, my dad does. Sometimes I'm a little stubborn, but then when I go back and think about it, it's good advice. Yeah. Probably another influence Mike Bosch
Yeah.
is a big influence. He's always been super helpful from the beginning, whether it was consulting or just a question I had. His book Unsliced, he's got some restaurant management training that he's putting together around now that I'm looking forward to hearing about that.
Yep.
All the big names, the John Arena, the Tony Gimignani, all those guys. And then one of the books I'm actually reading is McDonald's Behind the Arches. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Oh, yeah. I think someone else mentioned that a couple weeks ago.
It's got really good tidbits about franchising, working with franchisees, working with people, management systems. It's just a really, really good book. And I highlight certain sections and I always kind of go back to it. But it helps me a lot. It helps me look to the future, the vision, and kind of what we're doing and why we're doing and where we want to be.
Right. You mentioned franchising. Before we talk about that, I wanted to tell you one of my favorite things about your Ranger Joe mystique is when you put on the Ranger Joe outfit, costume. I don't even know what we want to call it, but I love how you have the palm on the holster, right? I've always noticed, is there like a pizza wheel or anything on the other side, or is it just the palm?
It's the pepper shaker.
Oh, is it pepper? Okay.
Red pepper.
Even better, pepper. Yeah. So if a kid gets out of line, just throw some pepper in their eyes.
Or you never know, if a bear comes at you, you might need to get a little Parmesan, distract them so you can get away.
I love it. So you mentioned franchising a couple of 2 or 3 times now. Is that something you're looking at seriously doing, or working with the family? You're shaking your head yes, so I'll just be quiet and let you answer the question.
Yeah, we definitely want to franchise. We feel we have a product that can be put out in a relatively quick manner in a fast food takeout delivery setting, but it's high quality gourmet pizza. It's really, really good stuff. And we have the Sicilian pizzas, we have the New York styles, we have the Detroit deep dish, calzones, cheese breads, and cinnamon sticks, and that's it. So we want to be the in and out of pizza. So we want to have a simplified menu, we want to get it out fast, and we want high quality. Yeah. And I think that we have that concept. And our store here is about 1,400 square feet. Okay. So we don't have a big place, but we pump out a lot of pizza, and we want to duplicate that. And that's why we're developing our systems right now. So when we go to the next location, everything's basically been worked out.
Right.
But yeah, that's the goal.
Gotcha. Does that location have a drive-through window in it?
It does.
It does. Because I know you do slices as well.
We do.
Right? Yeah. I'm always intrigued by the slice business. Like, what percentage of your sales? Because you're not like I'm thinking of like Tony Gimignani doing a slice house, right? Yeah. Where you're talking about population density, and that's not where you're at. How many of those slices are going out the drive-through window, number one? And then what kind of percentage of sales is that versus whole pies, if you know?
Well, number one, we don't do the slices through the drive-through window.
You don't?
We could, but we didn't lay it out that way. Now, the next location we may, because you'd want to have a certain selections of slices right by the drive-through window, and you got to have the staff be able to get them, help the next customer. Okay. So it's kind of logistically at this location not going to happen. But our slice bars in the front lobby, we have 3 tiers, and we have Detroit, Sicilians, cheese breads, everything lined up. I can take a quick tour if you want to in a few minutes. But it's from 11 to 2, Tuesday through Friday. And the reason why we did that is because staffing these days, it's kind of hard, and we want to get ready for that dinner rush and not have to deal with slices, people come in the lobby at the same time. So it's more of a lunch Tuesday through Friday. Saturday and Sunday we don't do slices. And we're closed on Monday.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a little more sense then. I get that now. One of the things that's noticeable about what you do, and from day one, is you talked about Detroit and Sicilian, and I'm always, I don't want to say this, I see people like you doing what you're doing where you're at. And I think people that live there look at them, oh, this is Ranger Joe. This is where, and they don't necessarily appreciate, I don't want to say they don't appreciate it because they eat there, but I don't know if they appreciate what they're seeing compared to what's happening on some national levels. Your pizza looks phenomenal, and I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And you're doing a lot of different styles. Can you talk about kind of what that looks like in the morning when it's like, all right, we need to make this, we need to make that? What's the thought process to it?
So we have our dough in the walk-in cooler anywhere from 2 to 4 days.
Yep.
That's cold fermentation. And when we get it in the morning, we'll pull out our doughs, our trays that are needed for a certain amount of Detroits that we need for that day. And we have a certain amount of pans, so we can only do so much. But we get them all stretched out into the pans, and they sit in those pans from anywhere from 3 to 4, maybe even 5 hours sometimes.
Okay.
Really to get a nice proofing on those doughs. And we par bake them, so they're sent through the oven about halfway. So you got a nice little light golden brown on the bottom, light on the top.
Yep.
And so when they go through the second time, more hydration is cooked out, and they get even more crispy and that perfect golden brown at the bottom because you're going one time the entire way through at the end.
Yeah.
And we use a cheddar, like a mix on the edge that melts down the
Yep.
side and gets real crispy and caramelized.
Yep.
We don't use, I think it's, what is it, Wisconsin brick cheese?
Yeah, brick
Brick
cheese. Yep.
cheese. We don't use it. We use just shredded cheese. It comes out perfect. We use provolone on there also. And we put all our ingredients, mix this to the oven, put our sauce on top, our Parmesan cheese and Romano. And it's our, maybe other people do their different Detroits a little differently. I'm sure they do, but that's the way we do ours. But like you said, nobody's doing Detroits here in the Valley. Nobody's doing Sicilian. So people probably don't understand the amount of effort and time that goes into making those pizzas. But they appreciate it. We got number 2 as far as best of Flathead Valley in Montana. Right. And Moose's, another pizza place, they got number 1. They've been around for like 65 years. Yep. People love their pizza. Good pizza. But second place 2 years in a row, and we're not even 2.5 years old. Right. I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah. I know you're doing something right. It's obvious. I've got one question left. You are a guy that in the industry I've noticed in a lot of the best use some of the best brands that are out there. Whether I think you're probably a Stanislaus guy, right?
Yep.
I don't know. Are you? I don't know. I don't even want to get into what brands you're using, but I think that's another thing that always intrigues me in the pizza industry is that you may be selling a Sicilian or a Detroit, and it could be $30, $27, whatever. I don't know what your price is, but I don't know if people realize, if the consumer realizes that, as for you as an operator, you've got very high standards, and the products you're buying are the best of the best. I mean, can you talk about that a little bit, and that decision to do that?
Sure. I don't want to sacrifice on quality. When my dad opened his pizza shops, he was flexible to make it the pizzas the way he wanted to. Once he had more of the franchise move in, they kind of started squeezing and saying, you got to make it this way. Well, he was the first guy down there in Florida. So we're making the pizzas today like we did back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Good amount of cheese, good toppings. Like our Road to the Suns are loaded with extra cheese on top to hold all those 7 or 8 items together so they don't slide off when you're taking your slice of pizza off. Stanislaus is always been a great partner. Always has a great attitude. Loved him at the expo. Steve Rouse, great guy.
Yeah.
Their tomatoes are just amazing. We cook the 7-Eleven tomatoes. We add our own spices.
Okay.
So we cook our sauce in house too. That really helps unleash the garlic and the oils and then we cook our own sausage here too. We get raw sausage, add our own spices. That's what we did in the 80s, and it helps retain a lot of that moisture, a little bit of grease in there, and you get that nice flavor, not kind of those little clumpy things you get a lot of times from like prefabricated sausage, I guess you'd say.
Yep.
But and then Mike's Hot Honey. We've always been, even before we opened our shop and where we were before, we always were getting hot honey because we loved it on our pizza. Yeah. So we continue to use the Mike's Hot Honey.
Wait, hold on. Hold on. I got some right here. There it is. There, see, I got some Mike's Hot Honey at the house right here. There.
Extra hot honey.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Extra hot. I like it.
And then your liners, there's other liners out there, but nothing tops your liners. There's the cardboard inserts, the corrugated stuff. But to be honest with you, and I love the tabs on the side that help you pick up your load. You can put them in the box. That's like genius, it just help. And all our guys love the liners too. So we want to use the best. It's a little more expensive. That's why our pizza's not the price of some chains of 2 for $10.99. You know what I mean?
Right.
Our larges are 16-inch. They're not 14-inch. Yep. We did that since the 80s. We're continuing on that. So, being a family business, I want to provide the best to our customers. That's the main thing. I want to have them have a memorable experience. When they come to Ranger Joe's, they might go to some other place down the road and say, oh, that was, really inexpensive. But when they wake up the next morning, they might say, now I know why we go to range of Joes. I don't know. Not all of them are like that, but when you get good quality dough that's been cold fermented in the walk-in, it has better digestibility. The sauce is cooked in house. You know why you're paying a little bit more, and then you come back and you don't mind. We're not gouging anybody either. My prices are very fair.
Right. Well, I've appreciated this. I appreciate you very much. I'm very thankful that that you are a customer of ours, and like I said, I think your social media stuff is A++, but I think the pizza looks like it's A+++, and you're doing a great job.
Next time I'll show you something. I'll make you a pizza.
Well, one of these days I'm gonna have to get on the Perfect Crust jet, wink, wink, and just shoot up there. But what we do every day, you get the last word. So anything that's on your mind, your heart, anything you want to talk about except for politics, the floor is yours, sir.
You know what? Just always make the experience for your customer memorable. Make sure that they go away feeling that they have value for what they paid for, and also remember that adventure is not complete without pizza. That's
adventure, or you might get some pepper thrown in your eyes, right?
That's right.
Hey, tomorrow, I meant to say this earlier before you spoke. We've got Matt Frampton on tomorrow, who's Urban Slicer. I don't know if you know Matt, but you should, Joe. He's awesome. And then Will Walker on Thursday, Old Shawnee Pizza in Kansas City. And then Tony Corey, who's a pizza box guy, will be on Friday. I don't know who you use for pizza boxes, but Tony is awesome. But Joe, we appreciate you, my friend. And you know what? We'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you out here in Kalispell, Montana someday soon.
See you, bud.